How to create content that drives sales in your promo business. Coming up next, my name is Gloria Lafont. I'm the president of Action Marketing. We help distributors increase their online footprint to generate awareness, increase traffic to their website, and connect with more of their digital first ideal buyers. And today we're going to talk about how to create content for your promo business. So let's get right to it. These are the points that we're going to cover today. What's content marketing and why you need it? Building a content strategy, what are the foundational elements? How to select topics that will attract ideal clients? Creating content, best practices, mistakes to avoid. Then content production tools, tips and tricks. And if you are watching this live, we're going to have an open question and answer at the end. Now, when we are going through this, I'd like you to think about those things that you can implement right away in the next 30 days. Pick 3 things, because if you just sit there and listen, nothing's gonna happen. So what is content marketing and why you need it? I think the answer is right here. Content marketing is all the marketing that is left. I think that that is 100% true. And the reason is because today we are constantly searching for information, all kinds of information, anywhere we are, at any time of the day or night. We expect to find it at our fingertips. And the way you find it, if somebody's searching for your services and the products that you provide, the way for them to find you is by you showing up when they're searching. And you achieve that by publishing the right type of content. Now, even if you meet someone somewhere else, somebody referred you, 80% of businesses will research a small business online before doing business with it. These are all facts. And 30% buyers have ruled out a provider because of poor quality content. So this is very important right here. Now, the good news is that it really takes a lot of work to produce content. It's not difficult, and you can have a process that you can follow, but it takes a lot of work. But it's worth it, because business-to-business buyers are up to 90% through their journey before contacting a vendor. Now, I really think that after all this COVID thing and all of this lockdown, where nobody can go out of their houses and you have to do business from home, this has gotten accelerated in an incredible way. You may have heard that already, and that's why I love this cartoon. Marketunist, I'm a big fan. He published this, I think it was in May or something like that, but I really think it hits home. It is totally true. And many people are not aware of it. Many business people are not aware of it, and they're going to be in big trouble. And content is what can help you really modernize your business. So the first thing we want to do is build the content strategy so that we are doing things on purpose. And there are some foundational elements that we want to consider. So the first one is that when we're creating content, we're essentially trying to make it so that it's interesting to our target audience, not to the general public. We want it to be specific to the target audience, and then we will produce the content in ways that the target audience wants to consume it. And this is direct response marketing. This is nothing new. This is the way I learned marketing, and it's extremely effective. So knowing your target audience is essential. The first thing you want to know is be very, very clear on who your target audience is. I know you've heard this a million times, but I also know that most distributors are totally tuned out when you tell them that, because they don't want to hear it. They think that anybody can be their target audience. They don't want to commit to anybody in particular. But that is a big mistake, because then you are a generic type of company instead of being a specialist. And nobody wants to work with general companies. People want to work with specialists. So how do you determine your target audience? Because it doesn't mean that you're only going to work with one type of audience. You can have 3 or 4 different ones. And you can select the types of businesses that you want to work with. That would be the first thing. And I'll give you an example. When I first moved to Florida and I started my promotional product business, I thought I was going to do a lot of golf tournaments because golf is big here. Here in my town, there are 6 golf courses just in my town. So I thought this is going to be just a no-brainer. Well, guess what? In the 10 years that I had my business, I didn't do one single golf tournament. And that's because I don't know anything about golf. I'm really clumsy. I would love to play golf, but I'm the clumsiest person on earth, so not for me. So I cannot relate to somebody in whatever golf involves. I wouldn't know what products to recommend. It's just something that I don't know anything about it. So I gravitated towards things that I enjoy and like: education, schools, universities, and the arts. I had a lot of nonprofits in that market, orchestras and things like that. And also corporations. I had a few clients who were corporations and did some campaigns and trade shows and trainings. So those things were the types of companies that I worked with. So there were 3 or 4. There weren't more than 4. So you want to pick which ones are yours, and then within each one, when you choose an industry, you're going to find that in each industry there are companies that are really like solo type of businesses. Then there are the middle range companies that have X number of employees and have a little bit of a structure and some sort of staff. And then there are the gigantic ones. So you want to kind of decide which ones do you want to work with. Maybe the ones in the middle or the big ones, whatever you want. But in any rate, you want to determine which companies and go beyond that, and what level of revenue, what size, all those things. Then within the companies, you want to see who the buyer is. And so if you have 3 or 4 different markets, you're going to have 3 or 4 different types of buyer personas that have different interests in terms of what is important to them for their business and their position, their job. Many times, you're not working with the decision maker. You're working with an assistant, somebody that's in charge of the marketing and purchasing the products and has to get approvals, and also does a number of other tasks. So they may have a lot of work and a lot of things to do, so you can be helpful in solving a lot of problems and making things a little easier, taking that weight off of their desk. So, but you do want to know what makes them different. You want to have 4 lists of characteristics for each, and that's how you will be able to talk to each one in your content. The other thing that's important to take into consideration is the buyer's journey and the lifetime value of a client. Your content can help in this process, in the process of know, like, and trust. Somebody starts to hear from you when they are going online on their social media platforms. They start to see you, they become aware that you exist. Then they start to consider working, who they're going to work with. They evaluate solutions until they finally make a purchase. Now, when they finally make a purchase, that's when the party starts, right? If you do a good job, then you can retain the client for years. So that's where the lifetime value comes in. And that's where all the investment you're making is not a one-time shot. It's not to get one sale. Sometimes I hear people say, I did this effort and I got one order for $500. So they measure it in terms of the order. But what you don't see is that maybe that was the first order, and then that client ordered $20,000 in 3 months. So you cannot determine the results by the first purchase, because ideally, if you're targeting the right clients, you will have a longer lifetime value. That's how marketing pays for itself. The next thing that I want to talk about is the online marketing wheel. You may have heard me talk about this because I think it's important to know where everything falls. So this is the way I see it. This is something that I came up with. So in the center is your website. Your website is the center of your marketing, is your hub, is where people are going to come and find out what you do, who you are, and that's where they're going to find ways to contact you if they're interested. So your website is the center of your marketing. Then comes all the optimization that you want to make it easy for your website to show up when people are searching. So that's all the SEO that happens. And content is very important in SEO. It's the most important thing. There are other important things, but this one is really key. It's very, very important to get this one right. And then the next layer is the promotion, online promotion via social media or paid advertising. This is where you take your content and you share it on social media, or you boost the post on social media because you want to reach more people. So this is, again, your content that's on your website goes through all these layers. So your website is there to convert, and the online promotion, distributing your content, is going to get you discovered when people are browsing through their social feeds. And then SEO is going to get you found when people are searching online. So that's my marketing wheel. I hope it makes sense and it helps you visualize how all of this works and why things need to be done in a certain way. Now, your website has to house all your content. You want to make sure that all the pieces of content that you produce live on your website. You don't want to be posting a LinkedIn article and then leave it there. You want to do that, but also have it on your website. Every content you write has to be on your website also. And then the online promotion and SEO will take care of the propagation. Okay, so those are the fundamentals. Now, how to select topics that will attract your ideal clients. In essence, you want to produce information that is specific for your audience, things that they want to know. And this is where your target audience, knowing who they are and being clear of who they are, comes to life, because one thing that is the first thing you should do is answer all the questions that they have, because some of these things come second nature to us. We know these by heart, so you don't even think about anything that has to do with the day-to-day of the producing and printing an item. And your clients have questions. Think about the first time you meet a client or you meet a prospect, the kinds of things they ask. They want to know if their logo is going to look good reproduced on whatever they're doing. They want to know what type of files you need. Can you get it in this color? They have many, many different questions. And you want to write a piece of content answering these questions. That is really like the most essential thing. They're asking those questions. You are answering them in your content. There you have a piece of content that is relevant to your audience. So let's talk about topics. What things do they ask? Normally they want to know what's new. Everybody wants to know what's new. So you want to write about new trends and new products. Also product ideas for different types of events and different types of activities that they may have. So you can write a blog post about each of the events that your market audience engages in, not just any event. Also, customization questions. Depending on the type of clients and the type of things they want to make sure their things look cool. How many times have you asked, they want something really cool, and I want a t-shirt and I want this design on it, and they want to know the different ways of decorating it. Or maybe they don't want to know the technical part. If you write a blog post and compare the different types of decoration methods, for example, then you're educating your clients in the cost involved in each kind of decoration. Because sometimes they want something, and when you give them the price, then they don't have the budget for it, or it's too much. So you avoid having to write a quote and then redo it by sending them your blog post that you wrote about different types of customization and what it each costs. So this is just an idea, but I'm sure you get the point. Then also fulfillment. Fulfillment is big these days. So you can have different blog posts about different types of packaging, how the drop shipping, how to, for example, how to send packages to your employees working at home. And then you cover the fulfillment, the packaging, the drop ship, the kitting, and how you can help with all of that. And also, lastly, industry news. Industry news is something that it's a good addition to have. You're not going to be writing industry news every single week or maybe not even every single month. But when there is something happening, you want to bring it forefront to your clients so they know what's going on. It's like a behind the scenes type of things. Like last year, we had the tariffs situation. Or for a few years, we had all of these things with the tariffs. So this is a good piece of content to write, talking about what's happening, how is that affecting the industry, because these things are of interest to your client because it's going to affect their budget. So this is a good example of an industry news type of post that it will be of interest to your target audience. So when you are thinking of topics, you want to pick your core topics. You want to pick, let's say, 4 core topics. This way you avoid writing random stuff and then not knowing what you're going to write about. And this way is all structured and it follows some kind of a flow. So you're going to pick 3 or 4 topics and start with one and then move on to the next. So for example, let's say that you decide that you're going to, one of the topics is sustainability. So within sustainability, you want to break it down into subtopics. For example, you can talk about new products, new eco-friendly products, type of eco-friendly materials. You can make a comparison post, for example. Give away ideas on things that are inexpensive, that are eco-friendly. Company responsibility promotion type of ideas. If a company wants to highlight that they are now responsible and they want to practice sustainability, they may want to do a campaign internally within their staff and also to their customers, promoting all the efforts that they're engaging in, and you can give them ideas on how to achieve that. Packaging, eco-friendly packaging and ways of saving in packaging, saving meaning the planet. And also local and national regulations. Many times different states have different regulations, and depending on where you are, your locality, it's good to talk about things that have to do with the regulations in your local area. So there is a lot to talk about in sustainability. If you do it this way, then Google recognizes that you're an expert in these topics because you have a lot of information relating to this. So the way to do this, to develop it, if you list 4 topics, one is sustainability, another one is something safety or something like that. So then you would develop a couple of topics on each area and at the time, and then over time you add content to each of these categories. So now we're going to create your content. And I put that little sticker there because one source of content that you have tons of are presentations. Think about it. Your client calls you up and they want to do some sort of event, their business gives, and they give you an idea of what they want, and then you go do your research and you come up with several types of things, and you create a presentation, you do a lot of research on products and things. You become an expert on those products. And you send the presentation, and then the presentation goes to live in nowhere land. But you can take that presentation and turn it into a piece of content. If you came up with 10 ideas, 10 gift ideas, so you use that for your piece of content that you're creating, and you can create A listicle, which is an article that is a list of items, and if for a presentation is perfect. 10 ideas, 5 ideas. You could also create a slideshow. You take a PowerPoint and then you export it into a PDF, and you can have a slideshow posted on your LinkedIn profile, or you can have the whole slideshow uploaded onto SlideShare, which is, I think is a property, it was a property of LinkedIn. I don't know if it still is, but this also generates backlinks, and it's a really good place to post your slides. And so that would be a slideshow. You could also do a video and show the products on the video. You can do an infographic and show the products on the infographic. Or you can just create different images to post on social media and call it ideas for this event, right? So that's how you can take a presentation and create a valuable piece of content that many people are going to be interested in. Okay, so how do you present the information? Well, you can create blog posts, you can share it in your newsletters, you can do a video. You could also do infographics, as I mentioned before. You can do an ebook. You can do checklists. You can do research reports. Like, for example, when ASI has all these industry research reports that have excellent stats, you could use those to write about that and share that information about the effectiveness of promotional products. You could also do case studies, SlideShare slides, as I mentioned before, the graphic images, tons of nice graphic images that are relevant. Projects showcase, your own projects, you can show that. And quotes, of course, those are famous people's quotes. It could be a quote of your own making. You can have a quote that you said and sign it with your name at the bottom. Now, I want to briefly touch on video, because video is a way of delivering content. And it's the same things that you are going to write on a blog post can be also produced on a video, can be shared on a video. Now, the types of videos that you want to do that are good idea, I guess, because you don't want to be doing random videos with you just talking random stuff and making no sense, because that is just adding to the noise. You want to kind of have a purpose to the video. So a company explainer, for example, and it's everybody knows what promotional products are, but you can kind of add your flavor in it and what's important to you in serving your clients, for example, your own twist. Also case studies, things, products that you did for a client. If you had a case study where you kind of did more than just the sourcing, where you had to do the design or something, a custom design, then you can show that. That's really good to do on a video. Products, you can show products, how they work and how they function. Also your story, why did you start and how did you get into the business and why you like it and that kind of stuff. Those videos are really good because people like to know who they're going to be working with. Also tips and advice. You can have some quick tips on branding, on things that they need to consider when they're going to be printing something or going to be designing something, things like that. That for us, they're everyday things, but for people that are outside of the industry, they don't know. And believe me, the new people that are coming in, marketing positions, don't know much about printing. All they know is about online. So this is where you can really be useful to them. Also product demos and interviews. You can interview people in your community, and then though you don't have to necessarily talk about promotional products in your interview, the interview can be sponsored by your company. But these are different ways of using video, and that's another subject of conversation. So the next thing is publishing your content. So the first place that you want to publish your content on your website. That is where you want your content to live. Then, of course, if it's a video, you're going to upload it on YouTube, and then you share it on your website. And ideally, you share the page from your website where the video is when you want to share it to other places. Then You want to also share your content on social media and then have links to your site. Like for example, if you're posting an image, if you did some 10 sustainability products ideas, then you have 10 things that you could share on social media as an image. And then you have a link included in your social media post. And then when people click, they come to your website, because it really makes no sense and serves very little purpose to be posting things without linking them to your website. It doesn't mean that every single post has to have a link to your website. Most of them need to be linked to your website in some way to be effective. So the whole thing is to achieve audience message media match. That's what we are after. Okay, so now let's go and create content, and let's talk about the best practices and the mistakes to avoid. The first thing is structure your content. So let's go back to high school for a moment. You want to have an introduction, then the meat of the story, and then a conclusion. Whether you're writing a blog post, an infographic, a video, you want to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You want to make it easy to scan. So you want to break it into sections that are separated by sub-headlines. You don't want to just write a long post. You want to, every couple of paragraphs, you want to break it down and have a headline, a subhead, because people are going to scan through it. They're not going to read word for word, especially if it's a one block of text. If it's broken, they'll scan it and then maybe they'll read something that interests them, one of those parts. But you do want to break it down, and you do want to have long form posts with at least 1,000 keywords. I always go for 900 to 1,000. Kind of long posts are going to be read by Google, and it's more substantial. If it's only 200 or 300 words, that's really not going to do much at all. But you need to break it down into subheads. Okay, you want to use keywords. You want to use keywords that means that in your content, especially in the title of the blog post, you want to use a search term, something that people are using to search, or similar, that contains those search terms. That's how Google is going to match your blog post to somebody that is looking. Now, I want to mention very quickly that the critical mass of content is the keywords. And the keywords is how Google matches the search terms with the results. So it's extremely important, and it's more and more important. It's always been important, but it continues to be very, very important. Now, there are other elements that are off-page, such as backlinks and social signals, reviews. All of those things are also very important because it gives credibility. They give credibility in the eyes of Google. But we're not going to talk about all of those ranking factors, but I did want to point out that content is a major, major ranking factor, which is another reason why you want to use it. So you have to find the right keywords. So you want to know what are they typing in the browser. That's what the right keywords are, right? In relation to your products and services, of course. So let's see, let's take a look. Now, when you're searching for keywords that are related to a product, you always want to use logo, customized, personalized, because, of course, you want to look for results that show custom products, because many of these products are also available blank, wholesale. So you don't want to get mixed in with those results. You want to only show up when people are looking for custom products. So let's say you start to look for keywords and you look for custom logo shopping bags. So you'll see that a window opens, and in the Google lets you see or is trying to guess what you're looking for. And these are things that people are typing. So these are good keyword terms for you to make a note of. The next, in here I typed trade show giveaways, which I don't recommend you go with that right now because the searches for keywords for trade show giveaways are like dead, flat. Okay, but this gives you an example of the different things that people might be typing. Now, more on giveaways. When you type for anything on the search bar, you're going to have ads, and then you have a box there that appears there at the bottom of the screen. You can see it says trade show giveaways, and it just shows some product ideas. If you go further down the page, then you find a box. You can see it right there at the top. It says people also ask, and there are other questions there. Those are also good keywords. And then at the very bottom, you see search-related keywords, and those are also good keywords. So you have this here give you a very, very good indication of keywords that you can use. So you want to know your best keywords, and to further evaluate your keywords, I recommend you use a tool called Keyword Planner. The Keyword Planner is a free tool, and it has all the counts of keywords, how many searches, and then it's broken down. Like if you click on any of those categories there listed, it's a window is going to open up with more detail for each one. And then that lets you know how many people are searching for certain products that you think you may want to be creating content for. So this gives you, it's a little bit of more of a drill down. Now, once you have decided what are your keywords that you're going to start using, you're going to add those keywords to your content. So you're going to use the keyword on the title or a key phrase. You're going to incorporate it into the title of your content. And then also throughout your content, you want to use it a few times, not too many times. And you can also play with it a little. So you're not using the exact same phrase. It's a similar phrase, but it still contains those terms in there. That also works. It doesn't have to be like literal word for word. Okay. Next is you want to include a call to action. So if you are writing a blog post about whatever, at the end you want to add, if you're looking for help with this XYZ, give us a call and we'll be glad, and this and that. You want to give them a link to your form, to your contact us page where you should have a form, and you want to include that in every single post. If you are posting on social media, not on every, you don't want to make every single post salesy, but you do want to say, if you're looking for something like this, let me know. So the call to action is very important because it is inviting. Okay, now the next tip is that you want to proofread. You want somebody to proofread, especially if you're like me. English is my second language, so I still have a lot of trouble, especially with the prepositions. So I have to make sure that I have things proofread. So you want to have somebody to proofread, and there's some tools that I'm going to show you at the end that you could also use that are going to help. Then the next one is you want to use meta tags. And I'm going to show you what this is exactly a little bit further down. But these are the titles, how you're going to structure your titles and your subtitles so that Google finds and indexes your post in the best way. We'll talk about that in a little further, like I said. Okay, the next thing is that you totally and absolutely want to be tracking your results. So you want to install Google Analytics in your blog site and on your website, the entire website, and track the visitors. Track who's coming, what are they reading, what blog posts are reading, and how they get to your website. So that is very important because this is where you will see what adjustments you need to make. Sometimes you see that somebody's coming for the wrong reason, or that one post is being very popular. So maybe you can have a different perspective, do something with a little twist. So this is something that if you're not doing this, if you don't have analytics on your website, you are like shooting in the dark. So install analytics on your website. This is, you go on, this is free, completely free. So you create an account on Google, and it gives you a pixel, a little code that you have to place on your website. You can give it to your web designer and they'll do it for you, and then you start to track the visitors. And things that you would see, for example, this is a result for one of our clients, and as you can see, you can see how many pages, how many times people view his page. We have 2,000 views there. That's amazing. And then you can see a list of the pages that were most viewed and clicked. Like for example, the first one has 603 views. The second one has 466. The third one has 268. Now this client is getting really good results and a lot of conversions. So this is something that shows you what you will be looking for. And there's a lot more information. This is just one of those. You can see the type of devices that people are using to come to your website. You can see how long they're staying. You can see how many pages they're visiting, where they came from, whether it's organic traffic or if it's from social media, all of those things. Many things. So you want to know, you definitely, if nothing else, make this one of those 3 things that you're going to implement right away. Okay, let's take a quick look at some mistakes. Number 1, never ever copy and paste somebody else's content without their permission. I know that this sounds obvious, but I have seen this more times than I would like to admit, that just copy paste. And I've had it done to my own website where even a typo was copied. I was like, okay, oh my God. So it's not funny, and it shouldn't be done. You don't do that. And I know that in this business, many times suppliers let you use their content. And there's also services where they paste the same content on everybody. That doesn't work, by the way. That is not content marketing. But that doesn't mean that you can go to any website and copy the content and then paste it on your own thing. That's just something that you don't do that. That's terrible. Then the next thing is, don't use industry jargon. We're used to referring to things in a certain way, and our clients use different terms. So you want to be very, very aware of what are the terms that they're using, and those are the ones that you want to use in your content. One example is apparel. When you go to somebody's website and you see, oh, we specialize in apparel. The word apparel, nobody looks for that. Nobody looks for customized apparel. People look for custom polo shirts, custom logo sweatshirts, and whatever item they're looking for. They don't look for general apparel. So really connecting to your audience by using words like that. Or if somebody likes to say swag and you hate that word and you insist in using something else, you're better off using swag if you want to connect to those people. So again, you want to kind of stay away from industry jargon at all. Next is, you don't want to publish content on a rented website. What do I mean by that? A rented website is a website that you don't own and you don't control. It's a website, typically it would be Shopify, for example, is a rented website. Even though Shopify is a different case because all of it is yours, but if you decided that you no longer want to use Shopify, that you now are going to change platforms, then you're going to lose all your content because you cannot export it, at least not today at the time we're talking. Same thing if you have a Sage website and you're putting your nicely written blog posts on the Sage website. If they change the platform, if you decide that you're going to go and do something different, you can't take it with you, that you lose everything. And by the way, I know that companies have services where they post their content to your website automatically without you having to do anything. That is not content marketing, okay? That really does very little for you. And I think it's terrible that I'm sure that they have good intentions and they think that that's fine, but it really doesn't serve the purpose. Okay. The last thing is you don't want to make the titles too long, where they're longer than what Google shows in the results, because you want the first line to be people to be able to read the entire headline there. Because if it's too long, then Google won't show that at the beginning. It'll prefer those that have a shorter title. Okay. Now let's move on to content production tools and some tips and tricks. You want to organize your content on a spreadsheet. And I'm going to show you the spreadsheet that we use. Okay, this is our content planner. This content planner has different tabs. And so you want to have basically all your information. This we use for all our clients and for our own content also. But here on the right side, you want to have a content repository. What that means is that every single piece of content that you write, and including your website pages, you want to have them right here. You want to list them here, the title of the post or the page, and also the URL right here, any notes that you may have. But there's those two things. The reason is because as you start to write content and time goes by, you're going to have a lot of different things, and this helps you see what you actually have, your inventory of content. And many times you'll find that you get a new prospect and you want to send them one of your blog posts. And this way you find it much faster than if you have to search to your website. Believe me, I've been there. So I highly recommend that you add a section like this to your worksheet. Then do a year at a glance. You want to have this, I just have this all the months, and then the theme, you can put your anniversary, make a note of when your anniversary is, major holidays, and some celebrations that you want to highlight during that month and things like that. And then as the month comes by, then you want to plan your posts. This is super useful. This is something that we use for all our clients, and it really, really helps a lot. It saves a lot of time, especially this is your first year doing it, and then the second year comes along and you already have a lot of the information in there, the seasons, the different holidays. You already have that. Of course, you're going to update it, but it's already, half the work is done. So it's very, I really think that this is a great tool. And also we have an idea bank where we are going to write the topic, the link, the source, and any notes. Like for example, say that you find some sort of a article posted by one of the industry media, and you want to kind of elaborate on that, right? So or use it as a source. So you post it here, you put it here. And then also if you see a new product that a supplier is coming out with and it has a nice post about it or a nice email, so you come and post it here. So then when you're looking for ideas, you come here and you find good sources of information and things that you could write about. Okay, so that's the idea bank. And then here I have all the months, and of course this is a blank one. But the way we have this is that when you change one date, all of the dates change. So every year we just update this. And I don't really use this and fill this out. Well, my assistant does, and then I approve the posts. But before, when I was doing it myself, I didn't necessarily fill out every single one. But this was really, it came in so handy, especially in the repeating type of posts and when you're planning the week ahead. So I highly recommend that you implement something like this. And I think I'm going to even put this on our website so that you can download it. Yes, I just made that decision. I'm going to put it on the website. Okay, so much for the content planner. All right, let's get back to the slide. So you want to organize your content on a spreadsheet. Now, where do you find information? Okay, we already talked about your own presentations. That's one source. I remember one time that my school client had received some budget money and they wanted to buy tablecloths. And they wanted, every department needed a different kind of thing. Some needed something that was fitted, another one needed something that was full color, the other one wanted something that was just screen printed. So I had to do all this research about tablecloths. And then I wrote a blog post after that because it was like so much information like that I had no idea. Didn't know that so much could go into a simple table cover. Moving on. Suppliers content. Yes, I said not to plagiarize, but suppliers many times produce content about new products and how to use the products and ideas on how to use the products and things like that. So you can take that content and give it a twist because suppliers are okay with you using their content and you want to contact them and ask them. Sometimes they may not. So you want to make sure that you have an agreement with your suppliers that you're getting this information from. And also make a list of those suppliers, like in that resource sheet and the idea bank, you can list the suppliers that normally have good content, that have really, really good high resolution images that you can use. So you can have that handy. So suppliers. Then industry news, like I mentioned, like we had the tariffs a couple of years ago, and this year we have all kinds of issues with the masks. There's been an evolution of the mask situation. When this situation started, our clients that decided to start selling PPE products, because not all of our clients wanted to do that, but the ones that did, we wrote a blog post about how our suppliers had just put all of their resources into producing masks and PPE equipment, and now we were able to sell it. So that way it's not like, hey, I'm taking advantage of the situation, which a lot of people were complaining, but our clients didn't have that problem because we produced a piece of content introducing that. And anything else. Another industry news thing is could be related to your industry, your clients' industries, in the context of what you provide. We had a big trade show here every year. I don't know if they're going to have it this year. It's the boat show. I published a few articles about the boat show, and that would be an example. Then also related articles. What I mean by that is sometimes you find posts and articles written outside of the industry, completely outside of the industry, that are about promotional products in one way or another. And those are good articles to take, either share them on social media and with your own comment, or if it's something that you can think of some things to kind of elaborate on, you can write an article and then have links to this article, like discuss the article in your blog post. So that's another source of information. So when you do this, then you have a variety of content, a mix that it's not just one thing, product. This has different aspects and different things. Okay, the next tool, as I mentioned before, is Google. Google makes a living off of searches. They'll sell ads, so they know everything about who is typing what. So you want to really use all those tools that they provide. They are free and they are extremely useful. Then I also like this tool a lot, even though it has changed. It used to be free and now it has gotten, it's limited. So, but this has really good results in terms of more common search terms. It's really good to get ideas on the headlines. It's really good to see what people are typing, to dig a little deeper. So you can type in a website to see what keywords are ranking for that website, or you can just write a keyword and gives you keyword ideas and a lot of things. So that's also a good tool, and it's also free. Today it has a free level. Okay, the next tool is Pocket. Pocket is an app that you create an account and then you download it on your phone, and also is a Chrome extension. So say you are reading something and you want to save it because it's a good thing that you would like to share later or write about. So you save it to Pocket with the app. It could be not only an article, it could also be a tweet or a video. So it's really very versatile, and you log in and you look at all of the posts and you see all the stuff you've saved. And so it's really a very, very practical tool. I think I use it a lot. Okay, the next one is the Hemingway editor. The Hemingway editor, I'm going to show you what that is. That is an app where you can paste your content and it will help you make it better. And I'm going to show you how it works. Okay, so when you open up your app, you can come here and paste your content. So you paste your content and it will give you, right now you see some things highlighted in yellow, pink, blue, and green. So this is what that means. And it makes you recommendations, like for example, the pink 1 of 11 sentences is very hard to read. That means that this is very long. And this is something that I used to do a lot, like run over sentences. So this helped me think through my writing a lot more. This will help you improve your writing. About what we talked about before, the H1s, H2s, and H3s, you will find this in also, I don't know if Word, I don't use Word, but I would imagine that you could also do it in Word. But in Google Docs will let you do this. But what I want to show you is this. H1, H2, H3, these are the headers, the title, the H tags that I was mentioning, the title tags. And what that is your headline needs to be an H1. So see how it got bigger? Now it's not just that it got bigger. This also sends a message to Google that this is an H1, because you could make this bigger and not be an H1. So you want to make sure that you use this denomination here. Same thing if let's say that I want to make that an H2. I want to make that an H2 because this is where you're going to break down your content and you are going to make it scannable. So you make it scannable by adding these headlines. And then you want to have one H1, you don't want to have more than one H1, and then you want to have 1 or 2 H2s, and then the rest you want it to be H3s. This is how a content is well structured for Google to index it faster. So this is a super helpful tool, and it helps you in the composition of the content, and is one that I recommend. All right, back to the slides now. Next is Grammarly. Grammarly is also a subscription thing, an app, an extension. I don't know what it is, but I know I have it both. I have it on my desktop, and what it does is that it corrects you as you're writing all the grammatical errors. It picks most of them. I think all. Also, if you need to add a comma, or you have a comma too much, or if you have additional spaces, so it's really, really good as far as correction as you write. So this is also a free app. Hemingway app is also free. This is also free, and it's really very useful. Okay, some additional resources. We are now cleaning up our Action Marketing website. We have a resources section right now, but it doesn't have everything easy to access. We have a lot of new things. We're kind of redesigning that part, so you can check it out. So our website, we have a lot of resources. I know that when I was looking for ways to market my promotional product business online, there was nothing. Was very little outside of the industry. That was at the beginning when social media first started to appear and all that, and nobody really knew how it was done. It was a lot of things that it didn't make any sense to me. So I had to kind of learn by trial and error. So I want to be the resource that I didn't have and I wish I had. So that's what I want. We have a lot of things that we can give out for free. Not everything, of course, but anything that we can help with, I really want to do that. And then we have a Facebook group. Some of you are already there. And this group, I'm going to focus this group on marketing your promotional product distributor company in the digital age. And then we have an email newsletter. It's really not a newsletter at this point. I just send announcements, and when anytime something new's happening, you're not going to get bombarded with emails. But those are additional resources you can check out. And of course, following me and following us on all the social media platforms, we're there regularly. And I want to leave you with this last thought. You want to continuously be exploring how to develop your topics and become more and more complete as a distributor for your clients. If you've been in business for 10, 15, 20 or more years, you are a wealth of knowledge. You need to take that knowledge and put it on in the written form, in the form of videos, whatever you want. You have to create content that communicates all of that knowledge, because otherwise nobody's going to know. So you want to explore which way is easier for you. Maybe you feel comfortable doing videos. Maybe it's easier for you to write. And if you need help, get help. This is a lot of work, and your main job is to sell. This is going to help you attract leads and sales. So this is how it all works. So be open to change and new things. And the way this works, this is a long-term type of commitment. Marketing is not something you do one day. Marketing is part of what you need to do every day, every month, every week. And it really has a compounding effect, I find. At the beginning, you don't really see the results very much. You start to see little signs that this is working, until eventually you see that you have a lot of stuff out there and you're attracting a lot of attention. And this continues to propagate in ways that you wouldn't know it's happening. It's wonderful, because that's what content does, until eventually you have a nice, beautiful, strong forest. Let me just remind you of picking 3 things. What are your 3 things that you're going to implement in the next 30 days? I'd love to know, out of all these things that we talked about, what are the 3 things you are going to implement? And that's it for today. Connect with me in social media, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's be in touch.